Excellent connection. Says it's on. I'm starting out with like a warm up because I haven't done any of that yet today. Check one thing. I'm gonna go along to a metronome. Look at that, exactly 8 o'clock. 5 minutes, 55 BPMs. So what I'm doing is a separate like warm up exercise. So it's just like going up the strings, and then I'm so alternating, going from the first string, first fret, sliding up 1 fret, then back, then sliding up to the 3rd fret, then back to the 1st fret, and then up to the 4th fret, back to the 1st fret. I'm trying to do this as being as like trying to be keeping the theme of like precision, so trying to be as focused on really hitting those frets, and it just gets your mind anchored to that concept more rather than like a very sloppy, slower slide, trying to be, aware of the hitting the notes and getting to them quickly and starting to just feel comfortable sliding. I'm not worried too much about like the picking necessarily for this. So like, I'm doing more of a like just kind of going by feel for it, so I'm not really like worried about picking once and trying to sustain it all the way. If I could do that, that's great, but I don't even know if I could do it with this kind of limited setup, more or less. When you're actually coming through an amp, it probably would have much more sustain, so this DI thing isn't going to be the best for that. So I'm just kind of focused more on trying to focusing more on my slide hand, I guess, for this. Won't end. All right, there we go. So it's a super, like, I think, dry, so I understand why people wouldn't want to do this, but I find it helps me to get, like, the, like, rust off. These, like, super dry exercises, like, I find it's much easier to groove later on if you get these things out of the way earlier in the day. It just kind of, I feel way more comfortable, and I find it kind of expedites that, like, warm-up period throughout the day. And, like, something else too, like, I was thinking about, and someone had actually brought this up in a lesson I was doing, like, is there, like, a right or wrong way to do the technique of, like, sliding, like, basically, like, your thumb, is it better to anchor it while you're doing it, or to just kind of move your whole hand as, like, move your whole hand as, like, a unit, kind of? And I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. Like, it's more just a personal feel. Like, when you're sitting kind of within, like, within the reach, for me, it would be like, maybe 3 or 4 frets I'd be able to do that in. Like, if you're sitting in one of those areas, then yeah, I guess you could keep it anchored. But for me, like, I probably move everything together more. But it's, again, like, I think it's a comfort thing. It doesn't have to be like a like, I don't think it has to be any specific way. Like, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it, because it's whatever will work for you, you'll figure it out. Then that's kind of my thought with this, is like, I try to, like, explain how I do it, and, like, if there is a clear wrong way to do something, like, I don't think there's really much with guitar you're really going to be worried about. But, like, You know what I mean? It's not like it's gonna cause like a safety issue or something. Like, obviously, if you're doing something one way and then you notice that it starts to cause problems, then yeah, maybe it's the wrong way. But I mean, um, I haven't really noticed that. So like, you're open to trying things, and the most important thing is to just get it to sound quote unquote good, or sound like how you would want it to sound. That's really what it's the main goal is. You know, I mean, in my opinion, I'd like it to be rhythmic and then in tune, and then anything, or as long as you can get that, then you know that you're free to kind of do whatever. um, so I was gonna try. I haven't done this exercise in a while, so I'm probably gonna look really bad right now, but I need to try this one again. So this was an exercise I explained like years ago in one of my videos. So it's like picking a note, whatever note you want, and then you're gonna find that note on each string, and you're gonna move between the strings. You're gonna play that note on the first string, then you're gonna slide to wherever it is on the second string, and then play it there, and then to the third string and fourth string. So um, I'm gonna try. I guess I'll do. I'm just gonna do F, maybe. Really challenge myself. So again, a metronome will help, but yeah, like I would try to. Let me think. How do I? Yeah. Speed it up a little bit so I just hit each note on the beat. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've done this one. Wow, okay. Oh man. So I'm doing it actually, I guess, double what I was saying, but I just sped it up. So screwed it up. But again, 5 minutes. It's a very long time, apparently. always that one. So, what in my opinion, what this what this works, it's like it's giving you at the very least, you're getting just a workout on fretboard knowledge, like where a specific note is on each string. And, from the slide perspective, you're learning how to, you're skipping strings or you're moving between strings in rhythm, which is a very important concept. And then you're also kind of learning how to, you're probably doing both sliding up to notes and then sliding back to notes. So like in my case, I'm using F, so like you'd have that first string on the sixth string on the first fret, then the eighth fret, fifth string, and then third fret on the fourth string. So you'd have to start on that first fret, then you'd slide up to the eighth fret, and then you'd come back, and then actually slide up again. So you're learning kind of going, sliding between, or sliding up to notes and then sliding back in the same kind of phrase. And it takes, I guess, because you're just worried about this one note on the different strings, like it takes the kind of mental, worry of the playing the right notes and the scale and all this stuff. Like we're just worried about that one note. So, and this definitely, it's not I don't think this is a strictly beginner exercise necessarily. Like this was something I think it probably takes you have to have some kind of foundational ability with slide to be able to do this. But if you're willing to just go right into this I think really works like every aspect I think with slide you would probably need. I think you could hit in this one exercise. That's something I've definitely tried to work on more. It's like that. I get sometimes when you start speeding things up, especially like you end up like playing notes, like you end up like you play the slide, like you don't even slide with the slide, which is just like why even use the slide? And it's kind of like, so that's definitely something I always like struggling with and working on with that, is just like not, just actually because otherwise it's like, what's the point of using the slide even with it, Keep doing it. And then something I didn't really, it's not, I think you can add difficulty to this, even like you start bringing in the other octave too with it, because it'll probably just give you more like distance you'd have to cover, I guess, which is, I mean, I don't even know if I would want to, well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, I guess it could get more random, I guess, that way, which in some ways, I mean, that's a good exercise in itself. So that would definitely help at basically 5 minutes. But so this way you wouldn't be playing that same. This is actually this is a good exercise just for just a fretboard knowledge perspective, even though obviously it all just repeats when you're up here. Like, it's a good way to, you can add more randomness to it, because like you're kind of stuck with, if you have those like that sort of pattern, you're kind of, there's really only going to be one place on each string to play that note within the first 12 frets. But when you add in that extra octave there, you get a lot more real estate to play with, which I'm actually going to try doing more of that now. Oh man, that was terrible. Going faster when it's up there and you don't have the like kind of set in stone fret you're playing, it definitely adds more. Yeah, see, I can't even get the... Going faster is much harder when you're doing it that way. It's a lot of ground to cover. My brain can't work that fast. So there's something I gotta work on more. But, so this, like, knowledge of the... you're just focusing on one note. So, I mean, it's, it's kind of simplifying things, but at the same time, this is, like... insanely useful for anything guitar related. Fretboard, any work on knowledge of the fretboard is always going to help you. So like, and then this we're combining it with slide too, so you're getting an extra, you're killing two birds with one stone with this. And I think it works and I mean, like, when I use this, like, now sometimes just as like an extra lick every now and then, you throw in that like whoops. So like you can throw in that like, because now I've drilled that and worked on understanding where, like, you build the muscle memory to where, say I'm playing an F right now, so where F is on all the strings. So now, like, sometimes it's a good little filler thing. I think it sounds cool. It sounds cool, and it's not really, you're not really doing much. You're not, like, I guess you're not really, like, musically doing much there, but you're adding in. So I mean, just adding in that little, playing the same note. but like it's another thing you can add to your arsenal of like licks that you want to throw into your solos and stuff. Like whoops. Anyway, that's just something So again, more things you can get out of just doing that one exercise. Yo, Money Beats, what's up? So like again, like these exercises that I've been going over, they're super dry, but you can see just from that one, like I never really considered doing that kind of lick until I kind of started doing that exercise. So you know, these are like, I think these are the keys to like your, you know, like I think any thing you can add to your arsenal, you know, with slide is, it's only going to make you want to keep playing more. So like, I think these are like these little exercises you can find, like little hidden sort of things that will translate to your playing. And like, it's kind of rare that you find an exercise like that, like a very dry one that will actually translate to improvising, really. So I think that's something to work on, definitely. So like, what else do I want to talk about? So there was something too in one of my lessons that I was doing. It was like, so like one of the things I kind of touched on earlier was like, if you're after that kind of more precise, very articulate, like Derek Truck style slide sound, really working on sliding quickly into notes, versus like a slower, more drawn out slide, like the very quick, precise. It you know, it takes a long time to get there because it is like, you know, you're just doing the motion faster than you would when you're just kind of slowly sliding. So I'm just going from the first fret to the fourth fret on the first string. So when you're sliding quick up to the notes, like you're essentially, I don't even think maybe I'm trying to explain something that you don't really need to explain. Like it makes it sound, I don't want to say better because that's a personal thing, but it gives it much more of a, I guess more of an advanced sound to the slide. So like, so one of the things you can work on for that, So kind of like what I was doing, but like you would have just like a, I'm just going from that first to the fourth fret. Again, you would do like a kind of just gentle vibrato or something. Just, we're going to try to, you know, work on, you know, kind of the contrast between staying in that one fret and then really sliding, and then with like sliding with authority, getting up to that fourth fret quickly. So you have that like gentle vibrato, and you go up. And then you're, I should explain this too, like, you know, really stop, like have that like real command of it to be able to stop right at that. So like, you know, you might be going too high, too sharp, or too flat. Make sure it's really on that. If you're having trouble kind of figuring out, am I really in tune, you can use a tuner, like like an app. But you could also, like, you know, trust your ear. That's the you know, smartest, or the thing you really want to do. But like, just play around with just actually fretting the notes and really listen to how it sounds, and then use that to so you want it to, you know, musically, like, you want the note, you know, intonation wise to sound basically the same, but we're playing it, you know, like a slide up to it rather. So I guess it's more like that than, but you are trying to almost like cut out that as much as possible, that like you don't want to draw it out, you know. So like these things are, this is something, you know, this is again super dry, I get, but like, and then we can add in, say, another note to it. Once you start to feel comfortable and you start to, you know, get comfortable with that, like, you know, quicker, precise slide, adding in another note, it's just gonna, it's the same concept, like. So even that was like more rhythmic. I guess we could even just really just focus on. Not really being too rhythmic with this. This is kind of just noodling, but. So you're almost like, you might not even, as I was just doing that there, like, you might not even, it's very quick stop. So like, but I am actually. there is like a slight stop there. So I should explain, first, fourth, sixth fret. So you're like, I mean, so you see, like, when you start getting faster with this, it does start to sound, at least I think it does. It sounds pretty cool, because it's, you know, rather than like a, I mean, that one's cool in its own right, but I think the really quick, it's like, it's a way you can kind of shred with slide, you know, like. So this all comes from that practice of very quick slides. So, you know, you got to start slow or start, you know, simpler. I mean, that slow is the wrong phrase there, but getting comfortable with that really quick, very quick and, you know, deliberate, you know, slide up to a note, then you can start to expand on that and add in the other notes. And then, you know, I'm only staying on one string here. So, you know what I mean? Like, this is just adding more comfort with the slide. And, like, it's again, like, you're going to work these things. You know, it's slow. I get it. It's dry, but. But, like, yeah, maybe the metronome, it might not even be that necessary to do this to the metronome yet. Like, maybe it's more, probably just more beneficial to just do it, you know, and kind of. Okay. So that's another thing I work on. I think it's useful to work on, and I can feel right now, even just doing this now, I'm starting to feel more comfortable just playing. Oops. So these, like, exercises, I feel much more ready to play now. Will I play more, though? That's remains to be seen. Oops. Wow. That's not very good. Gotta do more picking warm up now. Let's see if we can figure out a way to work on with this with a metronome just to see. Let's do it faster and see. Hmm. So these, yeah, I mean, there's, I mean, any variation, like these are all like, I'm just coming up with random little licks here and there, but you can kind of come up with something that, sounds good to you, a little 2 or 3 note phrase or something, and then just with a metronome practice, quickly going and sliding in between the notes. And then these are all going to be, or this is, going to be a super helpful, practice to just get used to sliding quicker in between the notes. And that's like I think it's if you're after that more advanced kind of Derek Trucks articulate slide sound, it's a very important aspect to it. And it's I think it's a, you know, it's an, like, I don't want to say easy way, because none of this is easy, but like that's a nice way to work on these things. Um, and I think, I get these exercises are not as fun as just kind of jamming, but like, I treat the exercises more as warm-ups. Um, so, you can try that to see if that, I've always, that was something that I always found was the real, like, use for those kind of really kind of dry exercises, was like getting them over with right away, like right before you're gonna record, or you're gonna actually play, or you're performing or something. I would always do these little like chromatic exercises and things, and like I always found they were super helpful to just really get you just comfortable, get everything you know ready to sort of play, like grounded and ready to go kind of thing. Anchor yourself to, um, the, idea that, all right, I'm about to, dedicate some time here to work on this and play. And so I always do these kind of exercises and as a warm up. And that was something I've thought about a lot too. It's just like something that's frustrating, and I don't know if everybody's like this. Maybe some people can kind of just jump right into it, but I've always had like it's taken me longer to warm up than like I think I would like. Like I find like it takes like to really feel like I'm playing. I to really feel like I'm actually able to like start playing, and it's gonna seem weird to someone who doesn't like have this experience or understand it, but it really takes me like an hour of playing, I think, to really start to feel like I'm ready to go and play. And it's frustrating because like sometimes hitting an hour in a day just from a willpower standpoint is like really hard to do, and then like trying to get like from there like desire to play beyond that, it's frustrating. But like sometimes that's what it is. And like I think like like there's like I've heard like like classical musicians, people that play in like symphonies and stuff, that will play just like 8 hours straight, or not straight, but like will play like a full like work shift amount of time with the instrument. And like there was times when I heard about that and I thought that was insane, but I kind of understand. Maybe that level is kind of crazy when you're hitting that many hours, but like I understand it takes a long time to actually feel like you're ready to kind of play. Which is kind of, it sucks that it takes that long, but that's just been my experience. Like maybe other people can kind of sink in better, but like I find even like just within like if you practice in the morning and then like you take a long break and then you try to do some more later in the day, or you have a gig later in the day or something, and it's just like it almost feels like you haven't done anything when you have like a huge break in between. So you almost need like, um, like more like consistent periods throughout the day too to stay warmed up. Like it's interesting how quickly, maybe it's just because we're so distracted these days. Like we have like too many other things in our mind, and it just like it's hard to like stay focused on it in some way, and then like it's almost like starting from scratch when you take hours in between, and like um so it's frustrating. Like it's interesting too. Like I've had a harder time too, like switching between even guitars too, even if I've played a lot throughout the day. Like most guitars have like their own quirks and their own little string spacing is different slightly, and the controls are in different places. The neck shape is different, or you know what I mean, like the all these little things, and like that takes time too. Like it takes me, you know, 15-20 minutes of playing with the guitar just to start to feel comfortable just with that guitar. And then like, so this is all just kind of rants about like playing, I guess, but like these are like just little things I've thought about with like warming up. So like these stupid little exercises I've been going over, these like super dry things, are like they're very useful, I think, and they get you just, I think they expedite that warm up period, and you can kind of, even though it's hard, like I don't even know if you have to go 5 minutes straight like that. I just like to do it. I just pick 5 minutes, and I think it works. But I like, you're probably seeing, and I was noticing too, 5 minutes is a long time when you're doing just one thing straight for that long. So like maybe that's too much, but that's kind of just, sometimes you got to just pick something and just do it. So like that's been kind of my rant and talk about warming up, I guess. I guess that's kind of the topic of today, just warm up. So these were like strictly slide warm ups too. Like I like to do more focused, like right hand or picking hand exercises too in these warm ups. So I have a video about like alternate picking, which isn't, I guess, super relevant to slide guitar necessarily, but I think it's useful to probably most guitarists, unless all you do is just play slide. But so like you are just setting a metronome, and you're just, this is, speaking of dry, boring exercises, I mean, this might be the most, but like again, like it gets you ready to go. It gets the hand used to where it's supposed to be, and just, so like 5 minutes of that, a little goes a long way. Even with that, even just a minute or two, I feel like can help. And then even just if you're serious about slide guitar and you're like you're committing to the finger picking aspect of it, I think it is good to dedicate time to just picking, not even worried about at all what's going on with the fretting or slide hand. Just doing these like, doing like, much more like focused exercises just on picking. I know I do like what do I do? Let's see. Sorry, this is not the right tempo. I can't go that fast with this yet. Oops. I don't even know why I'm worried about this, but shouldn't be worried about the chords. So I like to incorporate finger style exercises, even though I rarely, if ever, would do very set like patterns and things with picking. Like I like to, work on picking technique in any way that I can, because I'm not like a. I didn't start out playing fingerstyle, so I picked it up much later on in my guitar journey. So like, I feel like there's a lot of wasted time, and like it for slide, it's so important I think to have that comfort with your picking hand and like, because it's a lot of that technique with like the muting is really focused on your picking hand, and like so getting any building the skill set of finger picking and comfort with that, it's going to translate to slide no matter what. Like even if you're not playing slide at the time, it's going to help your slide playing. So that's more things you can incorporate. And again, like these are, I think they're great like warm up early. Just get them over with early. Like first thing, just you don't have to think about it anymore. Like do it right before. Like sometimes like when I'm setting up for, if I'm playing a show or something, like set all your stuff up, get your gear ready, and then just grab your guitar, put your volume down, and then just drill some of these picking exercises or some of the slide ones we were doing, Just do it unplugged. Just do it like, and I mean, that helps so much. And like, I'm someone who's super anxious and I want to just go and start playing anytime, but especially like when you're already nervous about like performing and stuff, and like those little things really help to just kind of shut off all the noise and just get you ready to play. So like these little warm-up things are super useful. So like, yeah, I hit about an hour. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there. Thank you everyone for watching. Yeah, I guess we end it.